gente? It's your boy Albuquerque. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders special. You know it. When this is special, you know I'm being joined by one of my fellow Crusaders. Let me introduce my fellow homie, the one, the only, the one from Sloppy Spoilers, Cinema Crusaders, and reviews on our website, ComicCrusaders.com. The one, the only Mr. Jeff Bracey. Wepa, how you doing, bro?
Wepa, my brother. Man, I gotta come up with my own cool intro phrase like you do. You got the hey nah and the wepa going on. I need my own thing, man. I'm jealous, y'all.
We need our own thing. Let's go. I was actually an old school track that was really good anyway. Before we go in that, let's talking about old school. We're gonna talk about a wonderful old school feeling movie. I feel that this was a nice homage, some throwback. We had some fun stuff going on. It felt retro, but it was modern. It was now. It was crazy.
And it's definitely a classic thriller.
Yeah, absolutely. And today we have the director and the writer-producer of this film called 8 Found Dead from Dark Sky Films. Let me introduce the director, the one, the only Mr. Travis Greene, and the writer-producer, Jonathan Buchanan. Wepa, welcome to the show, gentlemen. How you doing?
Dude, thank you for having us. What an intro.
Crazy. You got to smash it.
Oh, man. Al gives the best intros in the biz.
I'm pumped.
I'm excited because I think you guys definitely are onto something with this new film. I love stumbling upon to this new creative talent, especially in the genre that's about to give us some scares or some creepiness. And man, did you work out the weirdness and creepiness on this one? I don't know if this Puerto Rican was in the film, you would have had no movie because I would have been gone from the beginning. Into all of that in a little bit because the movie is fire. So I love me a good origin story, Travis and Jonathan. So let me start with the Invisible Man, Mr. Jonathan. Tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from originally, and the first love and fandom you ever had.
Oh God, I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania, Hollidaysburg. I moved out here about 20 years ago. I bounced around the Midwest and Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. First love of fandom, I mean, Star Wars, Star Wars and Batman when I was a kid in the 70s. That was just like, fuck, man. I mean, 1977, every kid in school, action figures, wanting so bad to get the Millennium Falcon and all that stuff. It was awesome.
What about you, Mr. Greene?
I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico, but I've been in Los Angeles for about 30 years. I've been working in the television and film industry since 2000. And first love and fandom has to be the WWE or F. I don't know what to call it.
F is the classic, baby.
Yeah, Hillbilly Jim, Junkyard Dog, Hulkamania, Ultimate Warrior. I had all the Iron Sheik, my Iron Sheik. I still have my Iron Sheik.
Main event, all that good stuff. Yeah.
All those toys.
Awesome.
Oh, man. Oh, that's fine. That's actually really funny. All right. So, what made both of y'all move to Los Angeles, starting with Travis? Without a family?
Forced. My father was in the television industry, and he was kind of moving us around like we were Army brats, going from New Mexico to Texas to Colorado, then landing at the Fox Broadcasting Company, where he was a writer, producer, in the on-air promo department for about 30 years. He would cut all those spots for like The Simpsons or Family Guy, write and produce them. So like, on an all-new Simpsons, Bart falls and breaks his leg. That's him. That's his jam.
Oh, man. So you're just legacy right on in there.
First week of my life, I was in an edit bay, and I haven't left since. So
it's still little one trapped, apparently. Poor guy.
Here, man. This is what I do for a living.
Thank God he wore a large shirt back then. He's still going into it. Trapped in the room.
Yep.
What about yourself, Jonathan, man? Getting into that creative side.
I was living in Chicago. I took some writing and film classes. I met up with some guys that lived in Detroit, and I started going there, every month or so to shoot rap videos and R&B videos. And then those guys wanted to move out to LA and, take a shot. And I had nothing better to do. So I packed a bag, and they picked me up somewhere in Ohio. I don't know if my sister dropped me off, and I just fucking came along and shared a room with a dude for a few years and just suffered through it like everybody else with a dream.
Wow. Dig it. I love that journey though. It's insane, right? Everybody go through some crazy. All right, I just pick up my bags and go. And
I really love this kind of pioneer entertainment spirit that like people will just do that. They'll just pack a bag and then just haul ass out there.
I'm starting hearing the Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk music. You know what I mean? What's going on, guys? Damn. All right. So is this your first? All right. Not even that. The bromance, because I always love to know about the bromance.
Yeah. How do you two get together?
Hook up and start even talking about the idea that was built behind this baby right here.
I've been in the television industry, like I said, since 2000. I was editing and still am editing unscripted reality stuff. And one of my producers was in a band. His name is Michael Berge. We became quick hacky sack friends. We would always take smoke breaks and just kick around the hacky sack. And in getting to know each other out in the parking lots, he was like, I'm in a rock and roll band. And I said, well, I record music, so swing on by to my bedroom, which sounds weird. But I was like, come by. Come by. I have
it's where all the magic happens.
Yes. You can scream in my closet. And so I have a bedroom. I had a bedroom garage or a bedroom studio, recording studio. And he brought along Jonathan Buchanan in 2008, where John was the coolest looking guy I've ever seen in my life. He was a little bit older and had a great sense of style and dress and the coolest hair and the greatest singing, raspiest vocals I'd ever heard. And it was really fun.
Picturing a Fabio Barry White mix over here.
I mean, you guys have seen John, right?
I've seen John's picture. John, I describe John as looking like a modern day wizard with his epic beard and his glasses.
That's the new. That's Johnny 2.0.
Yeah, a little heavier, a little grayer. But,
Johnny Demon in the aughts was a sight to behold. But I recorded his band, but he was kind of like, as the front man, he was the responsible one to just grind it out with me in the studio. We spent, 2 or 3 months recording that album and just getting to know each other and bonding. And then that turned into me doing music videos for him because I was moving out of editing TV and getting into directing my own stuff. And I was shooting shorts, music videos, industrials. And so John would hire me to do his band Campfire Cassettes music videos. And then he has a knack for songwriting. And that's when I kind of asked him to write this film because he's such a great, eloquent, interesting writer. He has a unique voice.
Interesting. So how do you feel, Jonathan, being approached to get involved in this film with this idea after knowing Travis for so long? What was that day?
It was great. I mean, like I said, Travis and I, we've done albums, music videos. I've worked on his short films, some of his longer short films, and we've just always been, we're just, we see each other socially, but we also see each other at work working on this shit a lot. So during COVID, we just had, we just went to the coffee shop, stayed 6 feet away and just talked through some shit. And eventually he wanted to do his first feature, and I was on board to help, co-produce whatever I could. I just wanted to support. Mm-hmm. And we got a script that just didn't quite work out. And I kind of knew what he was going for, something contained and a manageable. And I just cooked up an idea and pitched it to him, and he went for it. So it was, an honor, I in a sense.
You did that on the sly, though, because there was talks of me selling my house in the middle of the pandemic, and we were trying to get a script that would fit what I would have personally to finance that film. And the first script just wasn't coming in under that. The writer was like, this is a $250,000 script, nothing less. And I'm like, I can't do that. I don't. And John goes, I've got an idea. And it was this small contained story that you guys have seen.
Yeah, and it actually works. And before we tease it, Brace, before you get into God, Brace is itching.
I'm itching.
Quivering.
I want to dig in.
You got to jump into it. So, folks, we've been teasing you. What are we talking about? Check out the trailer to the dope movie right here, 8 Found Dead.
Why are we spending the weekend with people we don't like?
We're going to the desert to stay in a beautiful house. And if you play your cards right, you might get laid.
It's me and my man. Say hey, babe.
Hey, babe.
I need you to be present this weekend, okay?
So isolated.
You guys, we made it.
You know that?
I'm watching Sam's story.
There's no key.
Did you try the door? Good thing it's unlocked.
It's weird.
Who drives the Jeep?
Sam probably brought a camera crew.
Can I help you?
I'm sorry, who are you?
What's going on, dear?
We were staying here with our friends this weekend. I can't get a hold of her. There's barely any service.
So what are we gonna do about these two?
We could kill him. Follow my lead.
A toast. Our memories are flawed to protect us and to make our lives seem meaningful.
To new friends.
We're getting out of here. Our friends are on their way.
You keep saying that, but I don't even think you believe it.
What did you do to our friends? These people are really freaking me out.
This is your weekend. Nothing's gonna happen to you.
Are you in danger?
No, sweetie. Just you.
What an amazing cast! I mean, I love it. The most weirdest people in the world. Holy shit! I mean, like I said in the beginning, if this was this Puerto Rican in that film, the moment I get in this house and they're refusing to leave, I'm either fighting or I'm leaving, but I am not staying. I guess I'm dead from the beginning.
It's a family film.
Yeah, the family definitely sticks together.
We cast a Cuban gentleman who's one of my closest friends, Eddie Acosta, who plays Ricky in this. And I bet Ricky would probably have the same, Eddie in real life would probably have the same opinion as you, Mr. Omega. Fuck this, I'm out.
No.
I was telling Al in the green room before we started, like I was saying things like, man, these guys ignore like all these red flags. I mean, I get that the older couple are master manipulators and definitely insightful, but at the same time, I was like, all right, honey, get in the car. We're leaving. I'm backing out with like my hand on my gun the whole time. I'm not even taking my eyes off these people. I'm backing out to the car like that. They're only getting me if there's more people hiding behind the car waiting to ambush me. Screw these guys. I'm out of here.
They got charm and they've got they're harmless, right?
Right.
They look unassuming.
And that's the brilliance of like your casting choices, especially in that clip right there where we see Liz is like, no, sweetie, just you. And she lays in that smile and is like, woo, get a lot of mileage out of grandma looking scary evil like that. It was fantastic. I love it. Great job all around on the casting.
She's a beautiful young lady.
Travis knows a lot of them from his improv troupe.
Nice.
Improv.
Real life married couple, Tim Simic, who plays Richard, and Liz is played by Roseanne Ramirez, I believe Puerto Rican or Baricuan as well. And she's terrifying, but the sweetest person in real life.
Oh, no wonder she scared the crap out of me. I was going to see a flying chancla any moment. You know what I mean? With crazy.
So, Jonathan, did you write that part with them in mind?
Okay,
because you can feel like when they're talking about the acting stuff, and obviously as actors they're bringing that to the role, and I just thought that was a really interesting kind of twist that like because they're actors they have this insight and they're researching the roles, like were they researching next year's anniversary murder spree that they do, or are they legitimately researching a role where they're going to play some crazy people? Are they preparing to do Macbeth? He does talk about stuff like that. He's talking about Shakespeare.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't know when we started casting, but they definitely helped massage the characters and the story and the dialogue specifically as we cast them and brought them in for rehearsals. You know, we would listen to them, do read throughs and do rehearsals and learn from them and sort of massage some of the language that made it sound like I wrote it, or, you know, and make it sound more like what they would say. It was really, they were a big part of how that turned out. It's cool.
So wait, Grace, I gotta ask now. You know, since you were Jonathan, you know, the big man, you know, Mr. Macho Nacho back in the day, what happened to you that inspired this story?
Oh, I don't. That's a long story. I was raised, you know, super evangelical Christian, and then I think, you know, maybe some of that fell away, and who knows? I don't know. I just like dark stuff. It's more interesting.
Hey, it's okay. I'm still super evangelical Christian, and I love dark and creepy stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. I was like, is this story just all you guys, or was it inspired by anything? Because it's that classic kind of horror thriller setup, but it's also got like a lot of unique twists that I really appreciated through the course of the story.
I lived in that house for 2.5 months before filming and 2 months after filming. The owners wanted me to purchase it from them. They had it on the market. But when I sold my house to make this film and to finance it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And
to you, brother. Wow.
Thank you.
Not up for shut up.
I told Jonathan I have this ranch out in 29 Palms, which is just east of Joshua Tree. And it's really desolate and it's really, you know, abandoned, creepy country. And I had asked the homeowners if I could make a horror movie there, and they said, "Oh, you wouldn't be the first." I said, "What else was there?"
Oh,
there's a film from 2018 called Head Count that was filmed.
I haven't seen that one yet.
There. It's really good. The house is the shining star, and the house is the shining star, I think, in this one, outside of the truly remarkable cast. But I was living at the ranch. I was isolating from everyone during COVID. I was isolating from Los Angeles, and it was, you know, being alone in the desert is terrifying. Being alone in the desert, and then you hear music playing in the next room that you thought you didn't put on is even more terrifying.
I don't know.
A little nod to the scene that you have to put in the film later on. I love that you included that.
Well, when I first showed up to the Airbnb, I got in. It was kind of a whole song and dance to get into the property, which all Airbnbs have like really ornate, detailed instructions. You got to go and the gate code is this, and then you got to go to the rock. It's out in the desert, you know, and find exactly. So it was kind of a trial just to get into the house. And then when I got into the house, unloaded and just kind of took in my surroundings, I decided to pour myself a glass of scotch and go smoke a joint out in the front yard. Before that, though, I had put on the record player. Then as the substances were taking hold of my being, I forgot that I had put the music on in the parlor. And I started freaking myself out, like, who the fuck put this music on?
Now, I will say you're not wrong for that, because me and one of my other Crusaders have talked to a number of people who at the same time dealing with the COVID restrictions decided to film out in the desert. And my fellow Crusader, David Nemesis Howard, is a Californian native himself. And he will tell you, people out in the desert are crazy. Lots of weird, crazy, and bad stuff happens in the desert. So your instincts were right.
Well, Eddie Acosta, who plays Ricky, he came to visit me while I was on this little sabbatical, and he said, "Yo, bro, why the fuck did you come all the way out here? Like, go to Palm Springs. Like, don't go to like 29 Palms. Did you come out here to die?" Like,
see, he knows the deal.
I think people head to the desert when they're running away from something, and Jonathan just kind of took that idea and really encapsulated it into this households, whereas everything happens inside the house. We don't really use the desert for its pastiche or its beauty and grandeur, but that house is legit haunted, legit scary, and people in the country are terrifying.
That's the thing about like people who isolate themselves on purpose. You have to wonder what's going on with them out there.
A lot of soul searching for me there, Bracy.
Well, I'll tell you, like looking over some of the stuff you guys got here, I was going to ask you, the first thing that hits me when we're getting into the story, and the cleaning lady is on her way out there, and she's having a little conversation with the this beautiful young lady right here, is the music kicks in, and the music grabs me by the throat right away. I'm feeling the tension, I'm feeling the anticipation, the excitement, the build up, all that stuff. Like, did you compose the music for this? Was Jonathan a part of that? You guys both seem to be very much into music as well as all sorts of other creative pursuits.
Well, are you talking about when she's cleaning or when the...
Oh, no, like when she's on the highway. You know, basically the opening theme kicks in, and I was like, wow, this is some great music. It's already got me feeling tense, and nothing dramatic has happened yet.
That was the goal. That's a band called Wine Lips that I found on Spotify. They're from Canada. Reached out to them, said, hey, can we, license your music for a horror film? And they were on board.
Oh, nice.
I am looking them up just based off that opening score.
Wine Lips, yeah.
But that was some good stuff. Like, because you have some...
Ginny Tran, by the way, who plays the character of Jessie.
Jessie.
Alas, poor Jessie. She was in there too briefly, but such a fun thing, because I also like in some ways, even though it's not structured like that at all, it reminds me of films like Memento crossed with like Identity or 10 Little Indians, where we have this cat and mouse sort of thing going on the whole time of the film. Now, what was the idea behind not doing a linear structure? I think it worked beautifully for the film. I really, really, really like this film. So if you could talk about that a little bit.
Thank you, Jonathan. You're the mastermind.
Yeah, I mean, I was just writing the straight version, and as I was going along, it just kind of happened upon me. I wish I needed to come up with a better story.
There she is being creepy again.
Oh gosh. But it just came upon it, and it just made something simple that I've seen before become something more complex that I hadn't seen. And that just, then once we went with the color coded cards and kind of came up with the rule that every story, it wasn't like nonlinear, like a lot of things where it's confusing because you keep going back in time. This, with each timeline, all 4 timelines only move forward. So once you kind of realize that you're dealing with this couple or this couple or this couple, the timelines make a lot of sense, and it's disorienting, but not too much, just in a fun way. So yeah, I don't know, it was really great.
No, I dig it, because even though I like films like Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, where things do kind of dance around the timeline, I like the idea that the timelines for each segment are all progressing.
Yeah.
So you're never doing this sort of back and forth. And for a while, I was trying to figure out when and where exactly this is happening, because one thing that did stick out to me is when what's his name? So many characters. Homeboy goes outside to phone his friends, and then I'm remembering from earlier when Sam's Jerry.
Oh, sorry, Sam and Dwayne.
Sam's boyfriend, Dwayne.
Dwayne.
When Dwayne calls his friends, we find out they're 80 miles away, and so you figure like, okay, he even says like, oh, they're about an hour out or something like that. But when he comes back in the house, you can see through the glass door that he's gone from just absolutely daylight to absolute night. And I was like, that was a little bit jarring, but it is in between these pieces, so like it's not as jarring as it could have been, because we don't see that transition from day to night. It just goes like day and then night, and then by the end of the film, you realize like, okay, this all takes place in the span of about an hour, which is really interesting and really tight the way the story ends up working out. Because I think everything in here is good. There's no fat on this. It's just lean and mean.
Thank you. There's a timestamp that we were trying to keep or adhere to, which is, if we open with Ricky and Carrie, Ricky's just got off of work, so we're figuring that was around 5 or 6 p.m. Sam and Dwayne are already headed to the desert. They, at around golden hour, we see that, Carrie's picking up her missed call from Dwayne, who's calling to say there's a really creepy old white couple in the house. And that's our spanning of time. So I would say, dead by midnight. Everyone's dead by midnight. From 6 till midnight, that's when this story occurred.
Yeah, and before you go on, Brace. You know what? This made me also think of like what if Mickey and Mallory, were in retirement years?
Yeah,
That's an excellent.
we've
That's an excellent
as you
tie-in.
see, as you can see at the end of the movie, there's a tease of possibly a prequel, and that we have written that, and it is very Mickey and Mallory. It's younger, it's sexier, it's bloodier, and it's fucked up. It's fun.
The origin story.
Yeah.
Please give me this. Cause that's one of my favorite movies. Saw it on the theater back in the day. I was dating a girl too, so I was feeling the energy. You feel me? We did not do anything illegal, I promise. But what a dope movie! And when I'm watching these old guys do what they do, this old couple, in my head, I'm thinking, wow. There's like, what if Mickey and Mallory?
This is now part of Al's headcanon. This is Mickey and Mallory down the road.
Can we refer to them as the older couple and not the old? No, I'm just kidding.
The older folks.
The middle-agers.
Elders.
Yeah.
The elders of horror. Hey, let's go.
Now this is really obviously a really tight production. How many days did you guys shoot, and how large was your crew?
30-person crew, 7 days of principal photography, where we mowed through 63 pages in those 7 days.
Wow.
And I wanted to pull my hair out every day. I had made 10 short films before this, and I made 6 48-hour films before, and I thought I could handle pressure. If it's your first feature, here's a little advice. The wave doesn't stop. You keep getting hit with it day after day after day after day of just problem solving. And it's fun if you can just be present for it and you can be solution-based thinking. But if you go in there with a bad attitude, which I kind of had a bad attitude because I was just like, I'm not getting anything I wanted. But in hindsight, I did. I got through 63 pages of the bulk of the lion's share of the script, the most important back and forth of the drama and the conflict. And then we spent the next 2 months shooting second unit pickup shots and scenes like, the folks going out into the desert where Ricky takes a piss and Carrie checks her phone. That came after we had already seen a working cut of the film. Our editor, Neil Evans, said, you need to build a timestamp or show the evolution of time. And that gave Jonathan a little break in the action to kind of hone in or fine tune some of the more logical gaps or fix gaps and kind of adjust the logic of the story. So it was actually kind of a blessing.
Yeah. No, it all works. I didn't find any flaws in the narrative like that, because I look at things with a critical eye when I'm reviewing, but I'm also looking at it as just an objective person who's just here to enjoy a film. And so like it's really strong, guys. You guys have really put together a very strong film, and especially seeing 7 days. Wow.
7 days in that house. Yeah. I think we had
just banged it out.
John, did we have a couple more days after, like 2 weeks later? Like, was it 2 days?
We went back for a couple days. I don't know. It's
might
all
have been
a
9.
blur.
It's still incredibly impressive.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks to get a movie out. That's pretty fire.
Thanks, man.
It is. Again, I'm a fan of horror, and you guys have me. I mean, look at this guy and his beautiful little eyes. Don't you see it? Oh my God, bro! I'm already getting a bad vibe. I'm like, homie, just looking at him dead in the eye. You from the hood, son? How you don't know?
Now
You don't know. Look at a poor couple all happy. Look at it. Look what these guys torture you with. Such happiness. Look at this beautiful couple about to have a fantastic weekend or so they think. And they go ahead and fuck that shit up, boy.
Now you do give us like a lot of another thing I appreciate about the writing and the way that you staged it. And by the way, the cinematography is absolutely beautiful, especially the opening sequence where we're building to that, and the cleaning girl is about to meet her end. And I love the way the camera movement, focusing on the axe here, just moving like you don't overplay it, like see somebody like just grab up the axe. And I love the shot that's in the trailer. You see the guy in the shadow of the axe over her head. Beautifully staged and framed piece of film work there. But you guys are overt and subtle at the same time. We know she has a problem, but we don't necessarily know what the problem is with Sam here. But you've got the clue in her wearing the headscarves. We know that bad things are going on because we know the cleaning girl's gone, and we've got this couple acting weird immediately, so the audience is in on that. But I thought like Richard coming out of the kitchen, his little staging area when they first introduce him, he's wiping his hands, and I can imagine he's just been kind of cleaning up blood in the bathroom, just trying to make things a little bit more presentable here and there. Some just great little bits like that I noticed.
You got it. That's exactly what we were going for. That the Sam story is ripped from the headlines of my life. A friend of my wife's went through that and had this announcement of what happens in the film. I had asked her, "Hey, how was dinner last night?" She's like, "Well, she dropped this bombshell on us." I was like, "I thought you were going to celebrate like she was pregnant or something." And it was like, and I was like, I told Jonathan that, and he went, thank God she's okay now. But we thought it really heightened. It took it from just your traditional teenagers want to go fuck in a cabin in the woods to, oh, these are real people with real problems.
I influence the angle too. That is so credible to how she does things. It's also to me annoying. So it's like you almost like, what's wrong with this chick? Jesus, stop being on the camera.
Jonathan added that layer, which is a nice touch, because then you're torn. Do I like her? Do I not like her? Like, but at the end of the day, we want you to feel for them rather than just being like, I'm glad you're gone.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, because one of the themes that is going on throughout the film is you have these couples in distress. The sheriff's office people, they're on the verge of divorce. It's all but happened. These two couples, it seems the men are there for their women, but they don't really want to be there. The only couple that is stable, and I use that loosely because they're psychos, are our killers, and they are the happiest couple out of the whole group. And I find that intriguing that you took these ideas and you just kind of flipped them over and said, like, yeah, deal with that, guys.
They kill together, they stay still together, baby. Woo. Let me tell you.
Because unlike our other couples, these two share a passion.
John, you were going to say something? You got to pipe in.
Oh, just writing couples instead of just individuals made it really fun. It just made everything more dynamic and more rich. And then the fact that we get to know these characters and we get to know what they're going through, and then it all gets pulled out from under you. It seems like the ultimate. We had all these different MacGuffins where it's just like, yeah, I mean, cancer doesn't matter anymore. Spoiler, shit like that. So it was fun. It was really fun.
Well, John, are you a married individual, single man? Where were you putting the experience from? For the couple experience as you saw them.
Oh, I'm long divorced. Yeah, divorced. Married for 2 years, divorced 27 years. Been with a long-term girlfriend for 7 years.
25 and just single a year. I'm a loose mother now.
But part of I had asked John to put elements of my own personal life into these characters, as well as Ali Trasher, who plays Carrie. We kind of gave Jonathan, here's the characters, here's the theme. John added a couple other characters, but a lot of the real life problems in the film are based on stuff that we've gone through. I sold my house and was going through a separation at the time. Might have been guilty of drinking on the job, like the officers. Never fired. I curbed that shit real quick.
Write what you know, they say.
Yeah, I mean, in the time of COVID, work from home, I could just be like, no one. Well, I wouldn't have a transparent glass like this, but I would, no one knows what's in the coffee cup. And thankfully, I've kind of matured from that. But I'm glad that Jonathan was able to write that into the script, because we thought it was just hilarious that an officer of the law would be drinking on the job just to cope with the fact that he's losing his wife.
Just put vodka in there. Nobody will know you're drinking anything but water.
Grandpappy's old coffee.
I will say that my wife and I have been married 23 years this year, and I'm not saying we're killers or anything, but we are very happy.
Watch out. Jeez.
I don't know, Gracie, man. I feel inspiration there. What's going on, bro? I know you disappear on me for a couple of days, and I don't hear from you.
we take vacations. In remote locations. I mean, I live at the beach. I've got to get away from here, right? Now, Jonathan, you have written a lot of comedy. You worked on shows like Keenan, and speaking of Keenan, you worked with Key and Peele.
None of that is true. I am a prop master. I'm a union prop master.
Okay.
This is the first script. This is the second script I've written, the first one to be produced.
My mistake. I assumed because you were a writer that you were writing on these things.
No, I wish. All that is art department prop master.
Because I was wondering how, like, you know, if you'd been writing comedy, how that translated into horror, because you have these quirky characters, which according to Travis's IMDb says he really enjoys having quirky characters in his projects.
And if you watch my filmography, they are absurd.
You've got some quirky characters in your killers right here. There's this
motherfucker. Look at this guy.
That's Tim Simic. That's my improv troupe director of Slow Children Out play, based out of North Hollywood. Real funny guy.
These two, him and Richard and Liz, have this wonderful dichotomy between playing this nasty, insidious game of cat and mouse, saying the most shocking things to keep people off balance, and then switching gears. Just when you think like they're going to get off the hook, they'll switch gears and they'll give them like the most heartfelt, sincere life advice. And I was like, wow, man, this is like just really turning my gears thinking about the possibilities.
Jonathan did a great job of having fun and balancing out the actors. Can you talk about that, John?
Yeah, I mean the whole cancer talk with Liz and Sam. I mean that was just so fun, and Liz is so good because she can be an asshole and really pointed with her words, but man, if you give her something sweet to say, she will sell it, and it was awesome. And then the other one, I mean the conversation about the feminist conversation with Allie and Ricky, that was it was just super fun to write. It was fun to watch them tangle these two up and then set a trap and then right at the end spring it.
These two are like alpha predators. They define weaknesses and then they just go for them. They pick apart what these guys are doing, and then just watching them pounce on little things like, oh, all men is like, oh, really? So you're saying that about him too? Like, when did women get the right to vote? Like all this stuff is just digging. Like they know the sore spots and they just grind in there. And I was like, oh man, this is it's simultaneously like eerie to watch, but also incredibly compelling at the same time.
That was up. It was like, what year? Yeah, that's how you do it, kiddo. Set them straight. Yeah, talking all this shit. You better know what you're talking about.
And that's a testament to Jonathan's writing, because he knew that we were limited with, the action and the set pieces. It wasn't a multi-million-dollar budget. So he added that to the dialogue to really, it's verbal, judo, and it's setting traps, manipulating, and paying off to keep these people, like, the killers have these, they allow our heroes, our protags, if you will, to let down their guard so that they can be vulnerable, get to know them, and then use that against them later to kind of hold them hostage based on their own conversations.
Oh, hardcore.
And especially considering this is your first writing credit. I mean, I know you've made a study of it, but I was so impressed by how believable the characters were. There was at no time I thought I was watching somebody acting. I really felt like I was just enjoying these people, like I'm fly on the wall in the moment and watching this, horrible thing play out. But there was a moment we saw in the trailer here that I thought was rather strange when Carrie, I thought you guys were going to go in a completely different direction when Carrie says like, well, we could kill him, follow my lead. And I was like, what? Huh? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think that's, that was a joke for Ricky.
Yeah,
and then
nice little red herring. Though.
Yeah, for a second you're like, wait a second, is this what she's really talking about?
Because he plays along for a while. They're just bullshitting too, and like now we've got like it felt like this cat and mouse game between two opposing teams. And like, oh, okay, now.
Yeah,
but it's great.
Some practical effects as well being used. At least I mean, like here, look at that. That looks great.
That was a prosthetic application applied by Jordan Alex, who was our special effects head of special effects makeup.
Very nice.
She had to do She had to do a nose break and then a gash on the forehead, so it was stages and kind of layers to that build.
How long was the process?
I think it was a relatively quick process because she's quick. She's worked with me on numerous 48-hour films. She had our inspiration for this look was Andrew WK's "Let's Have a Party" or what's that? You know that Andrew WK cover where it just looks like he's done all the blow in the world. That was kind of the idea with this, just to make her this gnarled, gashed mess. And we gave her the name of Carrie, inspired by Carrie from De Palma.
I gotta ask you, Travis, because of something that Jonathan said earlier, and as it's been, I have to ask. At this movie, at no time did it ever start out as a long short film?
No, I think Jonathan was referring to one of my first short films, which was 30 minutes, which when I showed it to my brother, he goes, "Do you have a shorter short film?" And I did not, because I was throwing everything but the kitchen sink.
Philistine, how dare he not know?
trying to get my sea legs and figure out filmmaking, because
anything under 75 minutes is a short film.
Editing had informed kind of my desire to make films. I started making films at age 28. I had already been an editor for about 7 years at that point, and I just got tired of doing other people's notes, and I started to do it. I would edit during the day and film make at night, and finance my own stuff, just to kind of didn't go to film school, went to a vocational trade school for editing, and just kind of grinded away for the last 10 years on shorts. And no, this was never a short film. I sold my house. I said, fuck it, let's do it.
Love it.
And that's what we wanted to do.
As you landed at this bad boy right there, Dark Sky.
God, I love that company.
Yeah, man, they bring in a lot of horror to the
lot of horror. Love that.
Landing there and this dope poster. Love it. Look at that. Talk about how land there.
So we how did we land there? In the summer of 2021, I was kind of putzing around with the film. We were in our 11th month of edit, and both Ali Trasher, who plays Carrie, and Tim Simic, who plays Richard, they text me, "Hey, what's going on with the film? Spooky season's coming up. Better try to drop by September, get it into some festivals, and we submitted a rough cut in August of 2021 to Screamfest. They got back to me within like a couple days saying, "Hey, we want to program this." And John and I were elated, but at the same time, we're like, fuck, we're not finished. So we spent the next month racing to the finish line to get it to Screamfest. It plays Screamfest at the Chinese Theater for about 300 people. Brilliant screening, fun, lively, lovely. And then a couple days later, we find out that it's won Best Picture and Best Director, and we're just staggered at that point, because that Screamfest is the oldest running, I believe, American horror film festival, and a lot of great films have come through there. And then my producer Nathaniel Upshaw, through winning that, we took meetings with people. We tried to shop it around to different places, but Nathaniel, I specifically tasked him to reach out to Dark Sky first and foremost, because they, over the last 15 years, have been responsible for some of my favorite horror films. I mean, from everything that Ty West has done to Frankenstein's Army, Willow Creek, Starry Eyes, etc. And the team over there is just, they understand, and being that I love them so much, they understood what I was going for. So we connected instantly, and they said, we get the humor, we get the depravity, we get the horror, we get all of it.
We get your sick mind and let's get it done.
That's exactly what they said. Yep.
That's a good choice. Those are some of my favorite films as well. Because they're, there's some good studios out there like Blumhouse. I don't know if Dark Castle is still around doing anything or not, but
it's pulling up on horror lately too.
Now, speaking of like classic horror movies, though, there's a shot that seemed to me like it was very clearly inspired by Hitchcock. Was that always going to be the case, or was that something you decided in the midst of shooting? Where our cleaning lady gets killed in the tub.
Yeah.
That was John. Were we specifically going for
she felt very Jennifer Jason Leigh, especially at the end where she's sliding down and staring at us.
Oh,
and
Janet
you see the knife going into the body.
That
the
was,
big
I
one,
guess.
the big steal from that is in Psycho. There's a shot where the knife looks like it penetrates the body, and what they
you
did
actually
was
go there.
Well, yeah, they built a prosthetic and to actually stab the body, but then they decided not to use it, or they used it and they didn't use the shot. So what they did was they took a knife and pressed it against the flesh and then pulled it out and then reversed it. So we did do that shot because that was just a cool shot. But Travis added the hands, her grabbing the knife with the hands, just like, fuck, dude, that was so creepy. That was a great
once they stabbed through the hand, that shit was. Oof.
I mean, like, but what else? What else are you gonna do? Like, watching a lot of crime scene stuff. That's where your defensive wounds come from. Because even it's better to sacrifice your hands than your internal organs. So you do what you got to do.
And the bonus of having John as the writer, but also a professional prop master, is he has a shit ton of blood, so we could just make it as bloody as we want. We weren't at any shortage of blood.
Did you make your own blood? Because I've done a number of my own short films, and I love doing out-of-the-kit effects, and I thought your blood looked particularly good on that shot.
My mom did it on that one, the Caro, or right, John? Didn't my mom do a bunch of that?
Because every FX guy has his own recipe.
Making blood, bro.
I use red rum. There's a company called Red Rum, and I used it's called Red Rum, and I think I got them because that's what Jordan was using. So I just added to what she already had, I think.
Okay.
She may have had her own stuff, but
because I like the blood coming off the nose, but also the blood on the floor when Dwayne gets dragged away. Looks really, really good. It's got that perfect kind of darkness and consistency to it, because in real life, if you get cut, you bleed very bright red to start with because the blood is oxygenated. Then it turns dark as it loses the oxygen. But movie blood looks better, dark and thick and sticky.
That was Jordan, and shout out to her because she had 8 cast members that she had to do general makeup on, and then special effects on top of that. And she was for the most part by herself. A couple days she had assistants, but like she's just such a technician and such an artist that she has a great attitude. It was really fun. Yeah.
Now, I've got an interesting question about a character who pops up in the film who she's only in there for a moment, but I really focused in on her. I dialed in on Patty. Now, you do mention Shakespeare, and Patty felt very Shakespearean to me in a way. If you think about like witches and the Norns and the Fates and things like that, because if you've got something on the frame, it should mean something. And you have the guy at the diner asking her, like, "Do you ever go home? You're always here."
The guy at the diner is who you're talking to, Jonathan Buchanan.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Oh, your IND shot is so much cleaner.
Yeah.
But you, I think you had shorter hair in that picture. But you're talking to her, and so she has this sort of ever-present quality, and she comes up to our officers, and she's assessing things, and she just like, I'm worried about you. So she feels sort of omniscient and ever-present, and that wise old crone sort of thing. Am I reading too much into that, or was that intentional?
No, Travis referred to her as the Harbinger, and honestly, I did it. I mean, I think I just followed his lead. I think that was really his idea. He loves Nancy. He's worked with her before, and he really wanted to put her in there. And I think that whole opening of the scene came from your head, dude.
Well, just to put you and her there, and John was really cool to be willing to act in it. He knew that we had a lot riding on this. He's like, "Dude, do you really want me?" And I'm like, "John, you have a great look." And I think opposite Patty, she's an amazing thespian and one to play off of. And their relationship, where it seems like he eats that same meal every day. He knows, her story essentially, even though he's asking her questions. It felt believable. It felt like authentic, real kind of roadside diner banter. And I wanted to, because Jonathan's dressed in black and he looks a little mysterious, I wanted you to think like, is this the guy that might be responsible for some of the stuff that's happening? That was the whole motive or thesis of that.
That's fascinating, because I so dialed in on Patty more than Jonathan because of the follow-up conversation. she has with the police officers, and that's what kind of like got my attention right away. And now finding out that you had her listed in the script as the harbinger, I was like, because that's what I was feeling. I feel like she was the great foreteller of things to come. Oh wow, that is really cool. Now, oh, did you have something else?
No, go ahead. You got one. Then we got just maybe a couple of more. I don't want to take too much more of their time.
Okay.
You got 2 more, and I got 1 more.
All right. In that case, now it's such a trope in horror movies of people being dumb, and like we've already discussed how all of us rational people would have fled the situation, but your couples get into some weird shenanigans. You know, like we're gonna play this game, like go follow my lead, and you know, Dwayne isn't drinking his booze. Like, what's going on with this? And then what was I going to say about that? And they get into these every time you think they're going to leave. They get into these pissing matches that keep them there. And we've seen how manipulative the couples are. But I can't help but also kind of reflect on would we have left? I like to think we would. But then there was this great line in the Daniel Craig, the David Fincher girl with the dragon tattoo, where like you know, Skarsgård is telling Craig, like, you know, you could have left. Everything in your brain, your body was telling you to leave, but you didn't, and now I have you. So is that part of what comes into play? You're thinking on that, guys?
I think that ego is a huge part of it. I mean, mano a mano, you know, it's like, this was my place. I booked it. Fuck you. I'm staying.
Oh, the possessiveness of it. And
then add the fact that you have a partner, you know, just from a man's point of view, you're like, wait, I'm not going to lose. And, you know, my girlfriend's standing here. She wanted to do this. She planned this. This is for her. Fuck you. We're staying. Then add on top of that, your friends are coming. So you leave, you can't get a hold of them. So they're going to just show up and you're not there. And then you look like an idiot. You look like you couldn't stand up to these old folks. So I think ego is huge in real life. That would make me stay.
I buy it.
You guys teach such a wonderful technology lesson, you know, there about not relying on internet in a sense. Because when I heard that, I'm like, you know, like every man, like when I heard that, what, you didn't take a ski? Oh shit. I felt so bad for homie, but I love that.
It's such a modern day thing. I like it. This film is definitely going to be a product of its time, but you know, it's so relatable to right now.
It is. It's wonderful. That's what I love. That energy. You bring an old school horror energy. You got the perfect creepy couple. You have that modern, you know, sensibilities. You guys got a masterpiece on your hands, man.
Thank you.
And how excited are you that it's gonna drop? Coming theaters on VOD September 8th from Dark Sky Films, baby. Are you ready? Are you ready for everybody to be throwing panties and bras?
If you're lucky, you might even get laid and have sex in the
jacuzzi. I'm taking the stage like, thank you for coming out. It's an honor to be here. No, in this day and age, it's truly remarkable and such a amazing opportunity to have a company like Dark Sky believe in us and distribute the film worldwide for people to have the opportunity to go share an experience in a darkened theater to watch this, because it does hit harder in a theater. It does. There's a visceral reaction that the crowd has.
Love the theater experience.
And don't forget that poster, folks. That's the poster right there. Poor young lady, you got to see this.
That's one of the
she shows
best
up again.
Yeah, that's one of the best movie posters I've ever seen to advertise a horror film. Just absolutely iconic right from the get-go. As an artist and graphic designer, I'm like, that's it right there.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, who did that? Who did you hire for that, or was that you guys putting some madness together?
That's a Dark Sky special. They've got a good artist over there, team of people that are behind us. I mean, it's their film too, you know. I am a product. The films that I like are made by Dark Sky, so it's natural that this would go to them, you know, just simpatico.
There we go. There we go. You have any last questions, Bracy, before we let you go?
I've got 2 quick points I want to make. One is Richard and Liz. I found them to be really surprisingly chill about the fact that Sam and Dwayne's like, oh, we've got friends on the way. They're an hour out, and they still play this long-term game with them. They was like, oh, we better hurry up and kill these two. We've got somebody coming on. So I at first I wasn't getting that, but now I'm getting it's like they've done this so often. They don't even worry about more people showing up, even though they would be outnumbered. They're going to do this in their timeline.
I don't think that they're premeditated per se, and Jonathan, you could disagree with that, but I think that they're just living in the moment, trying to just. I think if Ricky and Carrie showed up, they would have integrated them into the plan as well to maybe pit those two against the other two. Like that's their whole thing is they're disruptors.
And because they're improv actors, the more complications, the more fun. Like they would, honestly, in the prequel, they're going to invite the cops there, because fuck it, bring it on. We'll figure it out. We're going to have fun playing this out. So
I mean, well,
they're not worried at all.
Liz is dead, and she just decides to play dead until she has an opportunity to do something else. It's like,
well,
that's
hold on,
commitment.
Bracy. Hold on. I can't argue with you there, Bracy, but I will say this, that the bigger the challenge, the more they're up to it. Like when Richard says he knows where the key is, and that's when he's actually starting to clock, oh, the girl that we killed earlier, she might have had, he was watching her, he saw where the key was placed, and it comes to him, but he didn't have the wherewithal to tell Liz, I know what can get us out of this. The guys continually shoot themselves in the foot in this film.
Yes, they do. They're idiots.
Whoa.
I would have been alive or dead at that moment.
It's so creepy. Richard's like, oh, I wish I could have seen her die. These guys are so batshit crazy. I guess what I'd like to end with, though, is now that this is done and you guys are getting it out here and we're helping you get it out there, do you have any other projects, anything that you can tell us about that's coming forward in the future, anything you might be working on individually or together?
John, you want to field that one?
I mean, the end of the movie, that teaser is real. We put it in there, and the script is written. We've gotten 2 good passes on it, and it's solid. And it is, if you like this, it's just more fucked up. It's bloodier. It's sexier. You got a 25-year-old Liz running around there just causing chaos left and right.
Oh, so we're going way into the origin. Yes.
Oh, don't forget about Hunky Richard for the ladies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hunky Richard, we've already been looking at we've looking at some casting possibilities, and I think it's I think it will most likely.
Okay, I got to go back and watch because apparently I shut off too soon because I didn't see the post credits.
Oh, that's a great conversation topic there. A lot of people are on the fence one way or the other. It's divisive.
I want you to bring it. I need to know. This is my new Mickey and Mallory. They didn't
I'll
get
tell you what, I'm sure
baby.
I'm sure we're gonna get our socials, your socials from Al, so we can keep track of you guys. Talk to you. After I watch it, I'll give you my thoughts on it.
Thank you. Yeah, unabashed.
And I didn't get the socials other than if you want to check out the film, you can check it out at theaters and VOD September 8th from Dark Sky Films. Look up this dope movie, 8 found there. You can check this out on the Comic Crusaders website. We have links everywhere.
Thumbs up, everybody out there. I loved it.
To direct you. But definitely, this is what we need and miss. I mean, listen, we got a butcher strike going on that's disrupting our entertainment. You know what? We got homies like this bringing us the goodness right now. And let me tell you, this is good old fun feeling horror. I'm digging it. Creepy couple, great cast, great team. From a fan to you guys, muchas gracias, mi hermanos. I can't wait to see the next and more.
Yes.
The next 10 films you're doing on this. The action figures. What convention you doing?
Yes.
Let's do it all.
Right.
Are you doing any conventions before we go? Any horror or film conventions before the end of the year?
We're going to Grimfest. Excuse me. I don't know why I said Grimfest in the UK in October. This will also be premiering here in LA this Friday, in Glendale, California, Columbus, Ohio for a week, and Albuquerque, New Mexico, my hometown, and our cinematographer Ryan Valdez is his home state, on Saturday, September 9th at the Guild Cinema.
It's don't make that turn at Albuquerque. Stop there. Thank you again, guys. I appreciate you. The links will be below. Bracy, thank you for your time as well. Travis,
always a pleasure.
Mi gente, you know what it is. Follow everything Comic Crusaders, comiccrusaders.com, undercovercapes.com. We got all the goodness for you, keeping you happy and motivated and inspired and informed on all the dopeness. All right. Hasta la próxima. Much love. Wepa!